It's November 1st, 2024, so time for another monthly update video where I'll tell you about what we've got coming up in November and what you might have missed from the month of October. So, three big things. Big thing number one, you notice that the location is different. This is our new office, and it's not completely in shape yet, I think, as you can tell by looking behind me, but we're getting there, and it's a manageable place for us to work in, and I'm really quite happy about it. So I'll tell you more about that in just a bit. Big thing number two, Worlds of Speculative Fiction has been on hold for a little bit. Well, for example, we moved into a new office, but we're going to resume this month by looking at the first of two parts of Tad Williams' Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn trilogy. These are some really big, long books, so we're going to have to split the trilogy into two parts, not least because the third book is like over 1,000 pages long. So we've got that coming up, and big thing number three that I just want to, put on your horizon and have you attend to a little bit is the fact that StoicCon 2024 took place. I'm going to talk more about that in just a bit. And there's videos in the Modern Stoicism video channel, which you can go and check out if you missed it or you want to go back over it. So those are the three big things. On now to October. So, in the month of October, we didn't have too many events, in part because, there was a lot going on. I held my usual AMA, that's Ask Me Anything session from this new office. We did StoicCon 2024. I was one of the organizers for that, and I helped MC some parts, including a really cool panel on prison education and Stoicism, which you can see over in the Modern Stoicism channel. And Dan and I managed to get an episode of Wisdom for Life done where we talked about a really important point from Stoicism that a lot of people get very mixed up about. Some people want to say Stoicism is the doctrine that only virtue is the good, but we can look at some classic Stoic texts where they say virtues are good and there's other good. So we talked about why people get confused about that in the Wisdom for Life radio show. Did a lot of writing over the course of the month, and I was, of course, teaching all four of my academic classes. We did have a very, very short fall break, 2 days at the beginning of the week for MyEd, 2 days for Marquette, but that's not much of a fall break. And so nobody really got a good break, but we're going to get one coming up soon with Thanksgiving. And I finished my class, Nietzsche's Genealogy of Morals, that I was teaching in the Study with Sadler Academy with students as well. So that was kind of good. I did get to go to a really cool performance that my oldest child, Kat Sadler, who is an actor and does a lot of other things with theater, got to do some puppeteering at Turner Hall here in Milwaukee. They did Frisch, Frei, Stark, Treu, which is a puppet history of the Milwaukee Turners. Pretty amazing production, and the Turners were really quite important in politics on the progressive side here in Wisconsin and actually throughout the nation in the 1800s and the 1900s, and continue to be quite important today. I also did a good bit of volunteering. You've probably seen pictures of it in the channel from Almost Home. I even did a little bit of writing about cats as well. So Almost Home is a cat rescue / shelter where we adopt the cats out and we take care of them. So I do volunteer shifts going in, cleaning, helping the cats, meeting with the public, and that sort of thing. Video work. I did a lot of videos this month. You may have been noticing the core concept series on Max Shaler's short work, Resentiment, which I decided to do because we talked about it a little bit in the last session of our class on Nietzsche's genealogy, because Shaler is reinterpreting Nietzsche in some very interesting ways. I also finished up a series on the university discussion that involved some pretty important people in analytic philosophy, mid century, about theology and falsification. I also did some of those, like Twitter conversations, although they weren't just on Twitter. One about red flags and self descriptions when somebody calls himself a political junkie, watch out, and who else would qualify with that. And then I did a variation on the trolley problem and created a bystander at the switch with me as the one person. So we called this Would You Squish the Sadler Man? And there's a video about that as well. I did a Thinkers and Movements video covering ancient philosophy from the pre Socratics up into Aristotle and Theophrastus. I also did several Sadler stories. One about when I was in college and they put me into the French house, kind of without asking me. And the other one about how me and my wife, Andy, met back in high school, crossed paths again in the 90s, and then finally connected up and fell in love in the early 2000s. And that a lot of people are interested in that. I did a quick takes about relying on cliche dichotomies. And I've also been releasing some videos that are excerpts from a class that I taught way back in spring on Stoicism and the cardinal virtues. And you may have noticed that evil Sadler has popped out of his lair, cage, nest, wherever it is that the guy hides. And he's had a few things to say. You should never listen to him, but he's always kind of entertaining. Podcast work. I did a good bit of podcasting, finished up with the Kant groundwork series, and then jumped into Seneca's On the Happy Life, released a bunch of episodes on that in the Sadler's lectures, and we are now just finishing up with Le Guin's last Earthsea novel, The Other Wind, which I'm using in my class that I'm teaching this semester on Le Guin and Earthsea. And I got back to doing the Mind and Desire podcast for my Substack subscribers, and which I then released to the general public later on down the line. So I produced some new episodes, released some old episodes, and that takes us up to the end of the month. I will just say this about StoicCon. Huge production, really, really quality talks this year. Some years we have kind of a mix of talks that are well focused and for a general audience and academically rigorous, but also accessible, and then stuff that's a little fluffy, right? No fluff this time. It was all really, really good stuff. We got great video footage of it. So if you're interested in Stoic philosophy and you want to get in on that, head on over to the Modern Stoicism video channel. Just Google Modern Stoicism video and it'll come right up for you and you can check it out. So that is October. Quite a lot going on there. All right, what do we got coming up in the month of November? So quite a few events, one of which is in person here in the Milwaukee area, and the rest of which are online. And we'll have video of the Milwaukee event, just in case you're not able to drive all the way out here. So we begin tomorrow, Saturday the 2nd, with our usual AMA, but we're going to be trying something different. You can watch it on YouTube, but we're also going to be streaming it in a few other locations, and we're going to see how this works. It'll be a big experiment on our part. At 2 p.m. for Patreon supporters, we'll have our usual philosophy chat. That's a much more intimate video conferencing session where people can ask me about whatever it is that they want to know about for philosophy. On the 12th, at 6 p.m. here in the greater Milwaukee area, up in Mequon at the Frank Weinberg Library, it is time for another Philosophers in the Midst of History. And the person we're going to be discussing this time is Iris Murdoch. I just happen to have her Metaphysics as a Guide to Morals sitting right here. And big, person I've been reading for a long time, not just for her philosophy, but also for her fiction. So I've been looking forward to this one for quite a while. So if you're in the area and you want to come to a live talk that I'll be giving with Q&A afterwards, head on over to the Frank Wyenberg in Mequon at 6 p.m. On the 16th, we will finally be having the next installation of Understanding Anger 2.0. We'll be looking at Seneca's On Anger Book 2, and we'll be talking about all the techniques and insights that he provides us with for understanding and managing anger. And then finally, on the 23rd, this is something we talked about in the Three Big Things. Worlds of Speculative Fiction begins again, starts with a video premiere where we have live chat and you can, talk with me about it while the video premiere is going on. And then we move over to Zoom for a video conferencing. That's a little bit more exclusive. Begins at 12 Central Time. And this time we're going to be looking at Tad Williams' Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn trilogy. We'll be covering the first two books of the series, which is about, 1,000 pages or so. And then next month we'll be doing the third book of the series, which is also quite a massive tome. I'm going to be doing more writing this month as well, and you'll see some more cat pictures. I'm going into Almost Home at least once a week to take care of the cats and meet with the public during open house. I also have a lot of video work planned. I'm going to be doing some more core concept videos working through Max Shaler's book Ressentiment. I'd like to cover the entire text if possible, perhaps by the end of the year. I'm going to be doing some Ideas That Matter interviews and some more Sadler's stories, some another thinkers, movements in philosophy, probably about Hellenistic philosophy this time. I've got to do some book reviews. I'm going to begin with this book right here, Stoic Ethics, the Basics, that I just recently got a copy of. So we'll be doing that. And then I'm going to be releasing more of the Stoicism on the Cardinal Virtues, excerpts from that class. And I actually want to do a video on something I've been meaning to do for quite a while, looking at the other Greg Sadlers that are out there, because there's actually quite a few, and it's kind of interesting to see what they are up to, what they are doing. I might do some other videos, but that's the plan for now. I'd rather under-promise and over-deliver than go the other way around. Podcast work. So we're just finishing up with Le Guin's last Earthsea novel, and then we're going to jump into H.P. Lovecraft's The Call of Cthulhu, and I've got a whole series on that I've already released to my Patreon supporters. And the next one after that is John Wisdom's short article, Gods, with the parable of the invisible gardener and some other cool observations on his part that we'll be talking about. And then if we get to it, we'll start Jorge Luis Borges' stories that I did videos on a while back. We'll be converting those into podcast episodes. I've got some good momentum going with the Mind and Desire podcast. I want to start doing that weekly, as I'd promised so long ago. So I'm going to start doing those, and I'll be releasing some of the newer ones to you, the general public. But if you want to get in on them and hear them right at the start, maybe you want to become a Substack subscriber, because that's the people I release them to first. So that is what we've got coming up. That's what happened back in October. I hope all of you have a great month ahead. And, if you celebrate Thanksgiving, hope you have a great Thanksgiving. If you don't, maybe eat some turkey on your own. And remember all of those of us over here. And, I should talk a little bit about this office. So, you see the wonderful office that we have. This is where I will be working from going forward for the foreseeable future. It's a wonderful little space. I did a video giving you a little tour of the place a while back that you can check out. I'll put links to all of these things, but that's enough for me. Hope you have a great month, and I will see you at some of these events.